His way greater than our timing. Written and narrated by Sister Natalie Shawver. Gospel blog readers, I'd like to be vulnerable with you today. My intent? Strictly for good. Thanks for your open hearts in advance. We all have secrets buried deep within, perhaps that we only share with the Lord, don't we? And throughout my life, I've had many. Fears, worries, wonderings, you name it. I've shared my thoughts on society's timeline of life before. The traditional route being you're married in your early to mid-20s, you buy a home, you have a baby shortly thereafter, and everyone lives happily ever after. This is what we see over and over again, and in many ways what we believe we must achieve in order to be happy. Anything outside of this picture-perfect image means you've failed or are delayed in some way, and who wants to feel like that? But for some of us, things don't often go the traditional route or look like this. Sometimes you don't get married until you're nearly 30, or have your first and only child until you're 32, like me. Sometimes you feel completely bewildered and behind because these timelines, milestones, are passing you by at every turn. Your friends and family are on step 7 while you're still waiting to begin step 1. I felt that pang hundreds of times in my life, and it's so discouraging. Phrases like, just be patient, or keep praying, or enjoy the season of life didn't comfort me. Instead, often that well-intentioned advice made me feel even worse. I can speak to this topic now as I'm nearly 40 and feel somewhat more well-versed. We must be like Nephi and stop following the timeline and blueprint of man, so to speak. In 1 Nephi chapter 18, the Lord shows Nephi, from time to time, how to build the ship his family will soon board. He doesn't reveal things all at once, but he reveals them in his time. But here's the verse that we should cling to. Now I, Nephi, did not work the timbers after the manner which was learned by men, neither did I build the ship after the manner of men. But I did build it after the manner which the Lord had shown unto me. Wherefore, it was not after the manner of men. Verse 2, bold, emphasis mine. I realize I'm taking some liberty here with this analogy, but I feel strongly about it. Nephi wasn't concerned with the way the world would have him do things with regards to building a ship, or a myriad of other things. In fact, his brothers even gave him grief about his approach, and he had quite the bold response. And I said unto them, if God had commanded me to do all things, I could do them. If he should command me that I should say unto this water, be thou earth, it should be earth. And if I should say it, it would be done. And now, if the Lord has such great power, and has wrought so many miracles among the children of men, how is it that he cannot instruct me that I should build a ship? 1 Nephi chapter 17, verses 50 through 51. Nephi didn't care about what everyone in the peanut gallery had to say. He put his trust in God, and knew that he would provide all that he needed for the voyage ahead. I wish I had learned that lesson a bit earlier in my 20s, that the timeline can go out the window. God didn't create us to live in this cookie-cutter fashion. He created us to be reliant upon him and his timing because he works all things together for good for us. Now, as a mother, I have such peace with regards to timelines, and I've learned to let them go. I never worried about when our son would walk or talk. I just knew it would happen whenever it was meant to. As of this writing, Graham has no interest in riding a bicycle, despite the fact that all of his friends said goodbye to their training wheels months ago. I could let this milestone make me feel like an incompetent parent. Gasp, your son doesn't know how to ride a bike yet? But instead, I'm remembering what Nephi wrote, that the Lord works with each of us, from the smallest of events to the biggest, a little at a time. If it's taking you longer to meet your spouse than you expected, keep trusting God. If it's taking you longer to find the right home for your family than you expected, keep trusting God. If it's taking you longer to conceive your first, second, or third child than you expected, keep trusting God. Don't get caught up in the way things should be that the world seems to shove in our faces every moment of every day. Instead, ask yourself how the Lord wants us to be and try to embrace that instead. The peace will be worth it all. And I have faith He'll give you the desires of your heart in His way, in His time too.